I think playing as Prey would obviously be like the toughest challenge and probably the most interesting challenge, because I feel like it would kind of put me somewhere like on a ranking. Meanwhile, maybe playing against Cody-san and No Way would be more of just like who has the better game there and then. But with Prey, I definitely feel like if I were to, for example, perform against him, then I could put myself on like on the top of the AD carries in the world. But if, for example, I wouldn't be able to play the game against him, then I would have to like reconsider the way I'm doing stuff, right? So I think playing against Prey will be the best for me, because I will be able to just tell where I am right now.
Welcome back to day 4 of the World's 2017 group stage, where it's time for a clash between Europe's Fnatic and the LCK champions, Longzhu Gaming. I'm Daniel Dracos, joined by Chris Papasmithy-Smith and Martin DeFicio Longo. Welcome, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to cast alongside you.
It's fun to be here. Another day of League of Legends. The Korean teams get going now, and it's going to be a really interesting couple of games.
But you're right now on a 3-game winning streak.
It's true. It's true.
Trying to bring it back, but of course, let's check in with our players on the side of Fnatic. It's going to be sOAZ in the top lane, Broxah in the jungle, Caps in the mid lane, Rekkles on bot, and Jesiz on support alongside their coach, Dylan Falco.
And today on the red side, we have the LCK champions from Longzhu with Khan up in the top lane, Cuzz in the jungle, BDD in the mid lane, and of course, Prey and Gorilla down in the bottom lane. And I really want to talk about Rekkles in that little intro clip saying, you know what, if I can play against Prey, if I can beat Prey, I can actually prove I am one of the best AD carries. And it's quite a challenge for him, and obviously you have to remember there are 2 members in that lane. You also got to take down Gorilla at the same time.
And it's fun because it's called back to what? Worlds 2 years ago, 2015, of course. We saw Rekkles face Prey and Gorilla. Different org then, it was the Rocks Tigers. Could not win a game on the day. We rated Prey the 2nd best player coming into Worlds. And Rekkles, we'll see how we have to check in with him, because of course, he played so well up until that final decision last time out. So fun to check in.
But of course, it's not just about Rekkles today, it's about all of Fnatic. We have to consider how much this win can mean for the team, because right now they are down and out, already lost their first 2 games. And then, of course, when you highlight the most recent one, Rekkles being a large factor and why that game against Immortals ultimately turned against them.
Right, that was kind of the tough thing here for Fnatic, because Rekkles was doing so well for the entire game, and then he makes the one play that ends up losing everything for the team. And the fact they're down 0-2, well, it is obviously a very tough situation, especially because they were so close to actually picking up that win against Immortals. Longzhu, on the other hand, I feel like they're just playing super, super well.
And of course, they had that very interesting game last time out against the Gigabyte Marines that degenerated very fast. So if you remember, the first game way back on the first day was a bit shorter. And it was also Immortals doing well in the early game. So fun to check in on them again.
And of course, Fnatic learning a little bit from the last couple games. Longzhu has been playing BDD, not going to get a chance to play the Taliyah, Jarvan, and Kalista, much more standard bans.
Yeah, Khan been playing the Jarvan as well, up in the top lane, getting removed. So Fnatic are targeting some of the champions we've seen from Longzhu already here at Worlds.
First time we're seeing Longzhu on the red side, we should note. They were able to first pick Jarvan both games so far at Worlds. Speaking of both games, Fnatic have had that really high priority on Ryze. I wonder if they would even first pick it, given that it really allows Caps to roam and side lane as the game goes on.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big one. But also Galio is open in this draft here. We know Longzhu wants to play that champion as well. And so I've been reading Reddit lately. They're highlighted one of the dog champions he could actually beat Longzhu with.
The literal dog champion.
The actual dog champion.
Instead, though, it's going to be Rekkles getting his hands on the Tristana, one of the premier hyper carries, one of the only ones left, with Kog'Maw and Xayah taken off the board.
Yeah, a lot of AD carries removed. Now, Varus is a fine matchup against this Tristana, or you can also run the Twitch, which we have seen quite a few times. And Prey's not exactly new to this champion, in case he locks it in.
You're not new to the Janna, not a common pick these days for him, but in metas gone past on Najin Shield at Worlds in 2014, he was one of those big Janna players next to someone like Zero. Was on Royal Club at the time, so they will lock it in. I'm intrigued to see what the AD carry choice is. If it's just the normal Varus, this is definitely a cornerstone of the champion pool. In spring season, you either saw Prey on Ashe or Varus. It gives them initiation from bot lane, and Prey is famous for his arrows. Chain of Corruption, it's right up there as an initiator.
And of course, this is the new standard when a lot of those power picks are taken away. Varus seems to be the go-to carry, but it does give Fnatic the opportunity to pick up a jungler, round out the rest of their first pick.
And also note that they didn't look to Twitch. They did not want to draft the Twitch Janna on red side and have a losing bot lane. So they went for Varus for power. A lot of power on blue side as well.
Look what Fnatic are doing here with the Rakan. They're not taking Lulu and just matching the shield with the Janna. They want engage. when Fnatic are doing really well, Jesiz is on an engaged champion. And now they can actually also start targeting the bottom lane if they want to start ganking it in the game.
Both teams matching each other as we complete the first rotation. Junglers and bot lanes have to find out what the solo lane picks are going to be and what's going to be taken away, more importantly, as Gnar is the first ban.
And again, we have 4 members of Longzhu we focus on, and one that we pass over usually. That's the rookie Cuzz, who's looking in his first season to become a world champion. The one initiation champion he's actually shown really good performance on has been the Gragas. His casks have been on point. You haven't had to really question his engage on this particular jungler. So it may not be the Kha'Zix, it may not be aggressive, but it's a good pick for Cuzz.
I want to highlight that Galio is still available. Fnatic plays it in the top lane. Obviously, Longzhu plays it in the mid lane. Fnatic can still ban it away here if they want to, or if they leave it open. We have to see if BDD wants to play it. Because normally when he gets a champion like Galio, you can go to top lane and you can even assist bottom lane if needed.
Galio, Cho'Gath, they're big picks that certainly could be considered first pick on the red side for a blind pick. BDD 10 games played, only 5 deaths on frontline Galio. 88 players being reinvigorated with him, and you see a Trundle ban, so it seems like sOAZ happy to play a tank.
Yeah, exactly. That could signal a Cho'Gath for sOAZ in the top lane.
Maokai, I guess, as well.
Maokai is another one, just in case it is not locked in here by Khan up in the top lane.
Remember that Jace is banned, so Jace, Trundle, like you say, together, says tanks at the top
Galio.
side.
Is going to make it through. Could be a point of concern for Fnatic. Fnatic may have loved to get their hands on that one. We've seen Jesiz alongside a Galio, especially with Rakan, be such a threat.
And if this is another team, you look on the red side and you say, well, surely it's Galio top because they're low damage. You don't really see a secondary damage dealer if it ends up being a tank top lane. But Longzhu have tried alongside KT Rolster to play these very early to mid-game comps. Do they work in the Ardent meta? That's a different question, because if the game goes long, low damage is always a concern.
Yeah, and if they want more magic damage, which I don't necessarily think they have to go for, because they got Gragas Galio, then Rumble is available in this draft. Otherwise, I still think you can go for a physical damage dealer in the top lane for Khan.
We could see this actually locked in here. It's a dog champ for sure, but there was an escape. It's locked in. Okay, we see this played once in the LCK promotion tournament by Ever 8 winners. They ran Nasus into Maokai. You can free farm in the lane. There's the potential for turret dives, and it was this exact setup. Galio mid lane and Nasus top lane.
sOAZ felt so safe in blind picking a tank because they banned the Jace, they banned the Trundle, even removed the Javan, and then a Nasus shows up, that's his champion.
Oh God, the literal dog champ against sOAZ. He's fighting his own demons right in front of us.
You could argue he brought this on himself. He talked about it, he called it out, and Khan has obliged. Seeing this pick at Worlds is so exciting. Another unique pick, another unique champion for Worlds 2017.
And I feel like Longzhu obliging us after the Gigabyte Marines wanted to play a standard game. They're saying, hey, we'll be the ones that are going to mix it up a little bit. But now we have such a unique composition assembled on the side of Longzhu. What is this Nasus doing? Is this just the standard farm it up solo queue Nasus? What does this guy bring to the table?
I mean, it will in the early game be a lot about just farming, but in the late game, he's such an absolute monster. Also now, with that reduced cooldown on his Q during his ulti, it is so hard to deal with him if you get that far into the game. So the fact that Fnatic are running a lot of engage simply means that if they can't force enough fights before we go to late game, they can use that effectively.
All right, here we are, Fnatic versus Longzhu, the Nasus pick mixing everything up. An exciting moment here for the team. Of course, if you haven't already, folks, there is now a chance you can head over to the store. If you want to participate in Worlds 2017, check out the Championship Ash skin. 25% of the proceeds from Championship Ash and Ward skins are being added to the prize pool, with another 25% being donated to charity. And of course, there's the Chroma as well. We've only seen it once. I thought maybe Prey would play the Ash this game, but instead he's on the Varus, and we're seeing already some attention on the top side.
Talked a lot about Khan, who is caught up here, but probably not going to be enough damage to take him down.
A lot of early poke. Clearly Fnatic are aware that this Nasus could be a problem if they let it go unscathed through the early game.
They know he's going to be recalling, so they could get deep vision if they want, and certainly the saplings will do that. Longzhu backing away from their top side, but I wanted to mention Khan because I think last year we came in, high expectations on Smeb. People were waiting, when are we going to see the carries? When are we going to see something different? Smeb played Trundle, Smeb played Standard. We see 2 games of Jarvan on the side of Longzhu. This time the Nasus available, but I have to hold the point.
Number 1. Dark Sphere's going to check. Multiple members there. That's the body slam into the immediate flash out. Caps. Going to be down the summoner spell alongside Broxah.
Exactly, 2 members. I think Fnatic a little bit baited because no one seemed to take damage from that Q from Caps. Everyone stepped out from Longzhu and then right back in.
I actually think it's a pretty poor level 1 decision because if you consider Fnatic knew that Longzhu had vacated their top side, it's safer to invade a part of the jungle you know the enemy is not on. And re-invading bot side is a risk that was unnecessary, I would say, for Fnatic. They could have taken the long route to bot lane and ignored it. Instead, they get caught.
To make it even worse here, Caps could not go back to base. No TP on him, so he's down a lot of HP early on. Will have to use both his potions as well to just get full HP in this lane. And we know that BDD is just here to farm in the early game and then get that level 6 on Galio. And suddenly, if you want to play this game where you're trying to shut down the Nasus, Galio can join in and help.
Difficult place as well with both flashes burned. It's going to be so much more difficult. Caps and Broxah, so frequently the members we talk about on the side of Fnatic, now both flashless, both significantly less able to be proactive here in the early game.
Forever 8 winners, when they did play Nasus Galio versus Maokai, stacked the CDR, it was Trinity Force early, just a carry, more of a carry build you see in solo queue, and turret dives were real. Galio is insurance on the top and on the bot, which is big for Longzhu.
But now, of course, one thing we have to highlight is when you look at this matchup, most recently against IMT for Longzhu, their bot lane did suffer. Their bot lane did fall behind, and we have to wonder, is this an avenue for Fnatic to exploit?
I mean, we know Fnatic wants to get the bot lane ahead. We saw when Fnatic played against Immortals, they hard camped the lane. It worked, as you said just before, in the first day of Worlds, where Gorilla died multiple times in lane. The same thing probably needs to happen for Fnatic to succeed early on. You don't want to try and feed your own Maokai. You need to get Rekkles going on this Tristana. That's why they draft Rakan, to also have some CC setup.
But the window is small, because the moment that Galio gets ultimate, the headaches start to grow. Sure, it is not Alistair to repel those early ganks, but Janna can do a bit of peeling, even at level 2. Once Galio gets to level 6, he will also have disengage. So it's not necessarily a hard timer, but to try to recreate with this comp, you need to get going soon.
Yeah, and you also kind of want that level 6 on Broxah. Meanwhile, Gorilla and Prey, probably knowing the game plan from Fnatic is play around bot side with the draft, with how Fnatic has played in the past. And their job is just to stay alive and don't actually try anything risky. And it's one thing these guys are very known for, at least avoiding, you know, the ganks.
And you think back to the Varus over the Twitch that was available. If you draft Varus, he can always do something. If he needs to push, put more points into Q. Hell, E is even decent in that situation as well. He's the much stronger laner, and if you're looking to leave someone on an island, Twitch with Relic Shield, that's risky. A Varus, he's certainly someone that can make the best, even if the game is not going to be about bot side early for Longzhu Gaming.
Terrifying champion to try to dive out, try to pressure, especially once he hits that level 6 mark as well. So just continuing to build on to that point we made earlier about this being a very small window for Fnatic to exploit. If they want to find this lead in the early game, it has to be quite early. But for now, they may have the vision on the bottom side, but not a whole lot else. Even the pressure is starting to balance out as the wave bounces against the bot lane tower.
There's another thing I want to mention about Nasus, but I'm just waiting to see if Cuzz is doing anything. No, he's stepping away. There was a buff that happened to Nasus quite some patches ago where his E also started reducing 15% armor when he used it on targets. And if you look at Longzhu's composition, the majority of the damage is going to be physical coming in, obviously because of Nasus himself being able to smack around with the Q, and reducing that armor here on some of these big tanks on Fnatic is actually very effective and very important in the late game.
Yeah, the Spiritfire used to be flat armor and MR. Now it being percentage means it scales into the late game, and we wondered who the second threat would be, expecting Galio mid. The Nasus infinite scaling certainly does fit the bill, even though his kite ability is always going to be something to keep a track of.
It's just a little nerve-wracking. So often we see teams put themselves in a position where they're playing against a clock.
We might get the first gank in that bot lane here. Prey and Gorilla are pushed pretty far up, but playing it safe right there, reading the situation correctly.
Yeah, 2 question mark pings around the bot side was enough early information, I assume, from BDD after seeing him pass through mid lane to stave off that particular start. Broxah is spotted.
BDD knows what's up. Just going to back right out. Taking it forward here moving on as Broxah goes back to the top side of the map. He is going to walk face first into Cuzz, but Cuzz already getting what he wants out of the exchange.
Watching sOAZ come down. Nasus so far just free farm first item purchase already. 10% CDR on the Sheen, so he's happy there. As Cuzz might be caught. Level 4.
Not exactly where we wanted to be. Luckily for him, it is just the Maokai. All the burst damage used up. sOAZ not looking to commit the ultimate. Knows it might be more important for this laning phase. A lot of things to consider here. But Cat Champ versus Dog Champ, top side of the lane. Not the most exciting matchup. Once again, waiting for the infinite scaling, and this is the thing that scares me. If you're playing against Longzhu, and their game plan is to sit here and wait, all of the pressure is on Fnatic to do something, because eventually, as you mentioned earlier, Nasus is going to be unstoppable.
But even that phrase you utter is surreal to someone who cast the LCK, because Longzhu were on the faster ebb of gameplay. They were not SKT, they were not Sampler, they did not focus on the outscale. They focused on their early to mid-game shot calling, their understanding of win conditions, which largely were precipitated around getting big leads. And usually you see the first 4 champions, not including the Nasus, and you think that's what this draft is about. They flip it on its head. They're playing a different type of meta at Worlds, but they are going to be comfortable as the game goes on.
Janna already sitting on about 100 stacks in the early game. He's not really been under any pressure. We'll just keep farming up in that top lane.
Now, though, as we move a little bit further into the game, level 7 for Caps, he doesn't have pressure here. Not a whole lot of kill threat onto the Galio without some help. Maybe he can find the opportunity to roam. However, Flash is now back up. Much easier for him to play out the rest of this laning phase. Cuzz taking his time, both junglers approaching level 6. This could be the catalyst, the point for playmaking. It's
just so important that Cuzz is always moving in, placing a few deep wards, so he's finding Broxah. He's able to see if Caps is roaming as well. And again, it just means Prey and Gorilla are going to be so safe in that bot lane. You can see how Fnatic are always hovering around the bot lane, but they simply cannot get down there unspotted.
That means extra time. That means Nasus getting access to minions. He is ahead in CS compared to the Maokai. It's only good things for Longzhu. The pace of the game is slowed. We already see a couple of early trades onto sOAZ. Not going to be a Galio coming in this time, but soon that game plan may be enacted.
And of course, Sheen, a nice early item purchase, lifesteal from Nasus as well. Means it's pretty easy for him to sustain up in this lane. May not have the kill threat, but Cuzz and Prey could. That's the level 6. Chain's not going to connect. Rare misstep from Prey on that one.
Warning shot. Telling Jesiz what's going to happen next time he's overextending in the bottom lane.
And now, Longzhu just going to take advantage of any pressure they got on the bottom side, but it's immediately removed with the ultimate gone. It's so much easier for Rekkles and Jesiz to play further up. No fear of a counter engage.
A sedate game with Longzhu involved. Not what I expected here, and I know when I was saying for the hopes for this game pre-tournament, I wanted to see late game fights between Rekkles and Prey, 2 of those top-tier mechanical AD carries. And at this pace, we may very well get it.
Definitely the case. Right now, it feels like Prey has kick-started himself with the option to go for a more, gold-efficient starting item, at least in terms of gold production.
I'm just afraid that when we are setting up for the big late-game AD carry fights, Khan just kind of takes over on his like 5 million stacks Nasus, one-shotting Rekkles or Caps in one of these fights, because once again, it's a very slow game in favor of Longzhu. BDD's not been able to use his ulti because why? He's just saving it. He literally just wants to be defensive at the moment, and it's all he needs to do.
Well, at this point, we have to start asking some of the big questions, which is, for example, how many stacks have you guys seen Nasus hit in the game? Because we could get to some big numbers here. We're at 160
Are we
already.
talking about solo queue or competitive? Because you mentioned an Ever 8 game, there was a Dignitas game for someday. There's not a whole lot of a sample size to go on here.
I'm going with either.
I mean, I have quite a famous Nasus myself when I'm playing.
Oh, really?
I'm only last hitting with E, however, because I don't want to get too strong in the game.
Ah.
See, it's the deliberate training weights. You got to hold yourself back. Well, even if Khan decides to play that way, luckily for Longzhu, he still has the Wither, which I feel like is such an undervalued tool against one reliable late game damage threat.
I mean, just consider the situation. You get Withered, you're against Gragas, Galio, and also the Varus. Do you use some Cruel Scimitar on him? Because that's what's going to be the reality. Choosing your CC, you might have to see a Rakan go very early Mikhails purely to actually increase his damage fights.
But still, not a lot of catalysts for action. We thought the bot lane might be posed for it. Of course, Prey does have the tools to force engages. Once again, it's just not in the Longzhu playbook right now to force anything aggressive because it's just not needed.
And with that Scimitar, that might happen in the late game. Problem is obviously with Khan getting some cooldown reduction, the fact that his own cooldown on this W is so short, it's going to be like, what, 10 seconds?
Maybe less.
Maybe even less. So when Rekkles will have that small window where he uses his QSS to get some damage up, he needs to burn through tanks. It is super difficult unless Fnatic, and it's why we keep highlighting getting bot lane ahead. But right now, Prey is sitting with the same CS as Rekkles. No tower's even taken some real damage just yet. And it's just meaning we're kind of waiting for the big moment where Fnatic pulls the trigger.
Guys, we waited for day 4. We want what is the
Might
counter?
be now. Might be now.
Sensor. Yep, hold the point.
Also going to go wide. Cuzz flashing out. He's not a damage drops, but just tickling him. Bit of a fumble there from Broxah. Not going to be what Fnatic wanted. And now Cap's out of mana. BDD is going to have lane priority.
Push up, BDD. Happy to take these good trades. Force Caps behind. Extend the game further every time. You get that click over to Nasus. See the number increasing. The timer only gets more severe.
Khan just perpetually comfortable in this lane. Luckily for Fnatic, they do have lane pressure. sOAZ is able to push the Nasus out, but for how much longer? How much longer until the Nasus actually has a kill threat on the Maokai, especially with the Storm Raiders? It's going to be an easy chase down.
So now that Fnatic are unable to stop the Nasus, they can't really gank bot, maybe they should switch around the focus. I like what Caps is doing now in trying to go up and see if he can kill Khan. Other thing you can do is you can try and lane swap with your dual lane. Send him top. Let's see what happens here.
ADC ultimate's going to come out. Not a lot of mana in the pool for Khan. Is still alive. Cap's playing with fire here. Second he hits him, he's going to draw that tower aggro. sOAZ not a lot of health. Just going to clear the wave. TP is going to be used as Longzhu take the bottom tower. Solid play from Longzhu, and Fnatic not getting anything.
Yeah, I think Fnatic early on in this game here should have, when they had a push in the bot lane, recalled, swapped to top lane, and try and just rush down that turret here. Open up this map a little bit so Khan is not feeling so safe.
But so much happened in an instant there for Longzhu. It was as the rest of Fnatic were backing that play happened. They took bot lane turret. We cancel his teleport in the blink of an eye. Nasus lives, they get bot lane turret. They're going to take a Drake as well, and nothing happens to the Nasus. He teleports back in with a completed Trinity Force.
And it is difficult right now to be Fnatic because making that lane swap call is not easy. You feel like you're getting pushed in the bot lane, and if you don't get a good swap and get actually a tempo advantage where you take down the first tower first, it doesn't feel great for most teams. So it's not an easy situation to be in, and they are constantly looking for that potential gank, but the good vision control just stops them.
And it's not an easy situation for any team, but it's especially concerning for Fnatic because when you look at their most recent game, we know what happens when they fall in a deficit. And we know the struggles they can have when they're not confidently ahead. You can see the difference between how these teams stacked up against Immortals. Longzhu, clean win coming out once they got that lead. Fnatic, a much shakier road.
We will get to see now, though, Longzhu's dual lane going towards that top side. So it is Longzhu initiating their own lane swap. Khan is going to get removed from the 1v1, at least for a moment. His Trinity Force is completed. Fnatic want to find a way to try and get down a tower.
I mean, at this point, putting Varus and Janna in a short lane, just like they have been the entire game in bot, is absolutely fine. You cannot slow down Nasus. That ship has already sailed 137 CS at 14 minutes, basically at pace with everyone else. So might as well start setting up the Varus to hit his mid-game spike. The on-hit build with the Sensor and the Rage Blade certainly more than underway, but sOAZ is here looking for a lane game.
Yeah, lower trap he's setting up. Broxah is gonna get spotted in the river going towards topside, so Longzhu will be aware that something is happening up here. Once again, Broxah notice on the ward. There's another one coming up here.
Important to keep your eyes on Galio as well. For now, BDD is locked into the mid lane, clearing out the wave. It's not a long walk, though. This could be the setup for Fnatic need, but it's a small window. They need to take advantage of it. A little bit more as the tornado comes out. One's going to pull the trigger. Looks like just the tower in their sights. Can't agree making it easy. Tristana still able to siege, but the cast going to clear the way. Broxah not going to get locked up, but Jesiz will. Rekkles could be next. Has to rocket jump to safety, and Fnatic still not getting anything.
But again, it's because it's taken them so long to initiate this swap here in the game. Once they couldn't find the kills in bot lane, they had to do it earlier to try and get down a tower, to try and speed up the tempo, because now they're just losing towers in the bottom lane.
Terrifying to watch too. Nasus over 300 stacks at this point in the game. Only 15 minutes in. Khan is a farming machine. Something that you have to respect because this matchup no longer quite one-sided, but Broxah sees an opportunity. Prey has been locked up. A nice monsoon going to stop it. No further aggression comes in. Fnatic once again denied.
Give a cookie over to Cuzz as well for that body slam onto Jesiz, denying his entrance into the fight. Khan and sOAZ fighting down here, but Everyone steps away.
How do you beat the tank meta? First answer from Europe, it was Trundle. The Nasus doing the same thing. It's been pushing and ignoring Maokai's damage. Speaking of damage.
Jesiz is going to get out with his life, right? Taking a lot back from the tower and no mana left. Broxah doing what he can, but the Blast Cone just keeps Longzhu out and into safety. Fnatic are trying to get something, but they're not getting anything in any one of these exchanges.
It's exactly the game plan from Longzhu. It must be so frustrating to be on Fnatic and at the last pick realize that the timer you are on is not what you expected. The Galio-Nasus duo, only seen once in a game that not many watched, is working a treat. Wasn't quite able to take down the inhibitor turret bot lane. Has it low. Speaking of top lane standing gold, Fnatic have to keep giving away free objectives.
And it's just important to highlight that Khan himself is just farming. He's not actually like outplaying anyone or doing a whole lot. It's just the rest of Longzhu on the bottom side of the map, just like we've seen in the LCK multiple times, with defensive vision by playing smart or avoiding any potential plays from Fnatic. And that's kind of why the game was so slow early. And there was never really an easy opening to take. Most teams around the world will always make a mistake here and there, and give you at least a chance to force a fight on them. Barely been possible in this game.
Difficult road for Fnatic. They need to find an opportunity to come back. You can see sOAZ and Caps grouping up. Maybe they're hoping to find a pick. They've certainly got enough CC. But Ward will just catch him on the side before they begin. Cats come out for a little bit of lockup. The tower is low, but there's not a creep wave there. They have to commit to the dive. They want it. Cats is committing, but not the way that he wanted to. Jesiz trying to make his way out. Galio coming in as well. Cuzz on the hunt for blood. But here comes Nasus. There's the withered half held. My God, the siphoning strike. Reduced cooldown as well. Cuzz retreating. Nasus finding the first kill, the latest first blood thus far. Prey taking down Caps as well. Longzhu cutting through Fnatic.
And the difference with this side lane champion into tanks, he actually provides burst damage in a fight. Every Q will proc siphoning strike, just like an early game jungle Ezreal. Nothing Fnatic can do. Rekkles half health and withered. One of the worst feelings ever. Give him Ardent Sensor, give him other items. After the wither comes through, he's not going to have the damage to do anything.
Such a good counter pick in this game here from Longzhu's side. They saw this draft from Fnatic, they saw the different tanks, they saw the Tristana, who is so focused on her auto-attacking, and then they have this Nasus ready, who we know in the late game is just even better than in the past.
And we have to remember we're introducing Khan to a lot of the viewers at home. This is the guy who wanted a counter pick to the Renekton that was dominating the early game and the early part of summer season. He locked in Mordekaiser straight up and took him into lane. This guy always has the mad scientist view of what takes down. He always wants lane priority. He's had no issues in the side lane, and we get to see him in a fight. Very nice chain of corruption and also cast from Cuzz.
Yeah, exactly. This Gragas performance from Cuzz here is very, very good to just once again make it hard for Fnatic to start the fights. At this point though, as soon as they didn't actually get the first kill, all these different tanks are just gonna run you down.
And Rekkles talked so much about his matchup versus Prey, what it would mean for him to beat Prey. But he doesn't get to fight Prey, he has to fight Khan, and Khan beats AD carries. This is so solid for the Nasus.
It beats some allies
tanks too! Oh, that's gotta hurt for sOAZ. Another kill dropping for the Nasus, but a fight is breaking out in the mid lane. Longzhu stalling out Fnatic once again.
Right now we're on 430 stacks for Khan on this Nasus, so not even 20 minutes into the game and we're plus 400.
And just be clear, he can't enter lane. I mean, I say sOAZ cannot enter lane against the Maokai. Permanent wither, the CDR is mostly getting up there, at least 20% from the Trinity Force. Takes him down, percentage shred on the siphoning strike. Fires everywhere on the map, and they also still have that Galio ult up. They haven't needed to use it much.
Backing off, Caps getting caught out. Even the tanks around have enough damage to take down the Syndra. Wins the war ticking. Prey actually going to grab that one. Longzhu are just playing with their food. 7K gold lead, 20 minutes into the game. Nothing for Fnatic on the verge of getting perfect game.
And that's the really worrying thing to say. 3-0 into a perfect game, sOAZ is already dead.
Chains of Corruption landing for Prey. He may have missed one, but every other one has connected thus far. We can see the 1v1 replay in the picture-in-picture. Important to remember how we got here, because that is a Rift Herald in the middle of Fnatic's base at 20 minutes. Khan can cut through these towers in an instant. Fnatic are out of options. They've got one last chance, one opportunity to try to seize a fight, but there is nothing in their wheelhouse. There is nothing in the toolkit. All they see is Nasus in front of them. This game is the story of Khan farming it up and bringing it home.
And we get to see a dancing Rift Herald in professional play. It only dances if it takes down the Nexus, and bringing in the Nasus was the masterstroke because the game was played around and all Fnatic could do is watch Longzhu in awe.
We talked about how good Longzhu were, how dominant they could be. The shortest game of Worlds thus far, the dancing Rift Herald encapsulating everything that was this game, because to me it felt like Fnatic didn't even get to play League of Legends. Longzhu were just one step ahead at every turn.
Exactly, like they tried to draft the Rakan to have some sort of engage in the bottom lane, but Cuzz always went in, deep-boarded the enemy jungle, Prey and Gorilla played safe, and meanwhile Khan was just farming in the top lane.
And the Nasus mains out there are nodding their head at picks and bans, because guess what? The Janna was taken early, very early, by Longzhu, have not prioritized it, and Janna shuts down Nasus in every single way. Melee damage champions cannot teamfight against a Janna. There was no Janna for them to claim.
And also the Galio pick, it wasn't banned away by Fnatic. Big surprise to me, at least, they didn't remove it, because once again, it's a champion that prevents you from going aggressive in side lanes, because you can always join with the ulti. And there were too many factors for Fnatic to kind of get past. That simply meant they couldn't actually play so aggressive as they wanted to.
And also note, BDD did not die. Another week, another deathless performance for BDD.
Jet was finally wrong in his prediction. There we go.
He tried. Something came true.
BDD.
Got him. And I think it just has to be so frustrating if you're on the side of Fnatic to come in to lose this hard in the early weeks when a lot of people expected you to come up big to a certain degree. And now you go into your matchup against Longzhu. You know it's a challenge. You play against a Galio in the mid lane. Frustrating. You play against a Varus on the bottom side who just avoids the all-ins. Must be such a frustrating game to end the first week on.
Especially because we have to think back to that Immortals game for Fnatic. Like, they are so close to winning it, then the big play at the end of the game backfires completely. They lose it, and that's why you're now looking at Longzhu, and you're saying, wow, Fnatic actually needs to beat Longzhu at least once if they want to make it out of this group, and it seems almost impossible.
Definitely a rough path for Fnatic thus far, but let's hear more on that game and send it over to the analyst desk.
Whew. Thank you very much, Strakos. Fastest game of Worlds yet. I mean, just a clinic by Longzhu, and to top it all off, we get the Nasus in the top lane for style points.
And it was a perfect game as well, so Longzhu just had everything down. This composition we actually saw in the LCK's promotion tournament, where you have the Nasus top as a counter to the Maokai, and then Galio that is supposed to just have Nasus on the side lanes, killing the Maokai, and then you ultimate with the Galio to guarantee that you can tower dive him. But we never even got to see that because they just got so damn far ahead. But I do have to criticize also Fnatic's preparation. If you can recognize Taliyah as a power pick for BDD, how do you not ban Galio? That's his second most played. Taliyah and Galio enabled Khan more than anything else in the world. It didn't get picked into the second phase, and they just let it through. They thought, oh, surely they don't know how to play around this. We'll handle it. Well,
yeah, there's going to be a lot of questions around Fnatic's draft, right? But at the same time, I would contest that if a team is willing to pull out a Nasus like this, then, I mean, you're basically taking stabs in the dark anyway when you're drafting against them.
I mean, these are all great questions, but the real question is this the first time Herald has danced in a competitive game?
The hard-hitting question.
Yeah, the real question.
No, the thing for me is also the fact that, you know, this works in solo queue all the time. I hear people rage, you know, how do we deal with the split pusher? Now it actually worked in competitive. And the big thing for me was that Galio pick. You know, normally when you're in a situation like that, the idea is to collapse on the guy who's overextended. You know, you gank the teleport first, kill him, and then you look for the big fight. But with Galio able to rotate so often, that could never be an option. And they didn't even attempt that. And then the other cool thing is with the primary disengage of Janna and Gragas, there's no way to ever really engage when Nasus is, you know, pushing that lane because they'll just disengage you away.
I mean, I think the comp was extremely well thought out. This was not just a joke type pick, right? Nasus works very well into the Maokai. It's a complete free farm lane. He had a 13-minute Trinity Force going bandit, maximizing his gold with autos on the Maokai constantly throughout the lane. He has almost over 400 stacks at the end of the game, I do believe, and they have a huge amount of weave clear. They have disengaged. Their comp really had it all.
Yeah, go for it.
You can also wither the only AD damage on Fnatic, so you can actually team fight with this. It's a split push, but you have many options, and it just shows that Longzhu has actually given us a different flavor from just your squishy top laners. Now we get to see a pseudo tank, the bruisers of the Nasus, and that's more fear for being up against this team that now has clearly shown answers.
I mean, Papa Smithy raised a great point mid-cast, right? With the Wither alongside all of the hard CC picked up from the side of Longzhu, that single AD threat. Would you even bother to, Merc Scimitar, say, a Wither just for the sake of either avoiding the rest of the CC or pumping out the damage? It's almost an impossible decision, right? But at the end of the day, the game was so fast we don't even have a replay for you. Instead, we have a damage graph, just so you could take a look at how lopsided this all was and how much work everyone did in this game.
And the fact that those numbers are also so very low. I mean, the game was over so fast. There wasn't really a big team fight. It was kind of that one big fight in the top lane, and then it was really sealed from there.
We've had games in group stages where AD carries have done 65K damage as an individual. The highest damage in this game doesn't even top 10K. That's how fast it was.
And the cool thing about it, okay, sure, the damage, not a single member hits over 10K, but this means that this game, because it was so clinical, we get, as analysts, the satisfaction of knowing that you can have a completely one-sided game with pretty much no action. You don't need kills, you don't need damage. It's all about pressure. It's all about knowing how to strike the right objectives with the proper composition. And Longzhu showed that against a team that is unwilling to look into their play style, they will just dismantle
My
them.
final question to you, Azael, is now that Longzhu moves to 3-0 and they can bring out picks like this, dismantle teams like this, what does this do to the rest of the group and how they approach Longzhu moving forward?
I mean, it's a really scary team. We did see some weakness in their game against the Mortals. The Mortals show that they are able to be attacked somewhat, but they're such a strong team. Their decision-making is fantastic. It's very hard to attack them in pick ban because they're so diverse. And on the other side of the table for Fnatic, that means they are 0-3. No team has ever made it out of groups at Worlds when starting 0-3. So definitely dire straits for the European squad.
A couple of 0-3 teams that have their work cut out for them next week, but not for Longzhu. They're sitting pretty atop Group B with 3 straight wins. For more, we're going to send it down to Shox for a chat with their top laner.
Thank you very much, Dash, with the man himself, Khan, who we thought maybe would pull out something super aggressive duelist, but it was the Nasus. So I'd love to know, Khan, why the Nasus in this scenario and why did it work out?
이제 그 많은 사람들은 칸 선수 하면 되게 공격적인 챔피언을 생각하게 되는데 이번 판에 왜 나서스를 고르게 되었고 나서스 픽이 어떤 의미가 있었는지 말씀해 주세요.
나서스 같은 경우는 이제 LCK 승강전에서 이제 EW의 탑 선수인 기인 선수가 마오카이 상대로 나서스를 쓰는 걸 이제 보고 거기서 배우게 됐는데 이제 한 번, 두 번 연습해가면서 이게 나서스가 마오카이 상대로 이제 좋다는 결론이 나와서 이렇게 대회에서 쓰게 됐는데 이게 원래 초반에는 다른 팀원들의 희생을 요구하는 챔피언이지만 만약에 그 희생을 담보로 이제 만약에 잘만 풀린다면은 이제 사이드 스플릿에서 좀 강한 모습을 보여줄 수 있게 좀 그런 식으로 게임을 진행하게 되었어요.
So I first saw Nasus in the Korean regional qualifiers when every winners Keen played against Maokai at that match, and through that match I learned that Nasus is actually a good pick against Maokai, and through practice I decided to use this pick whenever at an actual match when the opponent plays Maokai. And actually Nasus requires a lot of sacrifice from the teammates, but through that sacrifice I think Nasus is the champion that can truly compensate that through the game and through split push.
Oh, very interesting and very cool that you're confident enough to throw out these different picks. There were some question marks around how you also as a rookie would perform in your first Worlds group stage. You guys are 3-0 on the week for week 2. So how do you reflect on your own performance so far?
이제 사실 롱주 팀이 팀으로서는 많이 검증되었지만 아직까지 롱주 팀의 3명의 신인 선수들 뭐 BDD, 칸 그리고 이제 커즈 선수는 아직은 신인이기에 좀 더 경기를 봐야겠다라는 말이 많았었는데요. 이제 1주차 지난 현 시점에서 3승 0패로 매우 뛰어난 성적을 거두셨는데 현재까지 칸 선수는 본인의 경기를 어떻게 평가하시나요?
제 경기력은 만약에 10점 만점을 줄 수 있다면은 아직은 7점? 이게 완벽하게 잘하는 모습을 보이지 않아서 아쉬운데 이제 점점 가면 갈수록 더 좋은 경기력을 보여줄 수 있도록 이제 위쪽 상체 라인 3인방이 언제나 열심히 하는 모습을 보여드릴 거고 이제 점점 더 나은 모습, 더 좋아지는 모습 보여줄 수 있도록 연습 과정에서도 많이 노력하고 있으니까 좋게 봐주셨으면 좋겠습니다.
So out of 10, I would give myself a 7 points, and I still think there's some room for improvement. But all of the 3 rookies of our team, we're trying really hard. We're practicing a lot and putting a lot of effort into it. So please keep cheering for us.
I'm sure the people will. One final question. There are so many eyes on you this tournament because we saw how much you crushed in the LCK with always those aggressive picks and just doing things that no other top laners really do. Is there any advice you can give for aspiring top laners out there and what they should do to climb the ladder and maybe end up here as well?
지금 많은 전 세계 사람들이 지금 칸 선수의 LCK의 그런 인상적인 활약을 보고 많은 기대를 하고 이번 대회를 지켜보고 있는데요. 지금 칸 선수의 그런 활약의 바탕 속에 바탕을 두고 지금 이 방송을 보고 있을 많은 일반 유저들에게 한마디 본인의 탑 플레이에 대해서 좀 조언해줄 수 있다면 어떤 얘기 있을까요?
전 세계 탑 라이너분들이 한 가지만큼은 이제 명심하셨으면 좋겠어요. 여러분들이 지는 게 아니고 여러분들이 지면은 그거는 정글 탓입니다.
So I just want to say one last thing to all the top laners in the world. Keep this in mind. If you lose, it's not your fault, but the jungler's fault.
Okay, well, thanks for that final confirmation. Thank you very much, Khan. 감사합니다. Very fun interview as well. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more Worlds action, so don't go anywhere.
My God, the siphoning strike reduced cooldown as well. Cuzz retreating. Nasus finding the first kill, the latest first blood thus far. Prey taking down Caps as well.
오케이, 이쪽으로 가줄게.
신드라 노플이야.
야야야야. 너무 가면 돼. 너무 가면 돼.
There is nothing in the toolkit. All they see is Nasus in front of them. This game is the story of Khan farming it up and bringing it home.